Hello, cats and kittens. Hello, boys and ghouls of all types. Welcome to Night Fog, episode 19, San Francisco's premiere show about all things horror. And this is your hostess with the mostest, the vampire duchess herself, the mistress of the slithering claw. I am the goth raver punk princess known as the Black Cat X1, here to bring you into the inner sanctum of horror. So let's get started. I'm doing something a little different with my show today. I'm going to start talking about several different topics and not focusing so much on the shows. For one, it's been the holiday, the American holiday, so it's not been as plentiful as in past weeks. And two, because I feel like it's a change. I want to do something a little bit different. And I was talking to a couple of people this week, and they really reminded me that Edwardian and Victorian horror, this was the best time for it. The autumn season, the autumnal season, was the best time for horror because it's rainy and cold, especially in old London town where I'm from, and you want to have a nice hot cup of tea and a little stiffener in the tea, if you know what I mean, and you just want to have a nice warm blanket and a snuggle and listen to a horror story. So this is the thing I'm indulging for the next couple of weeks, especially over the holiday season. So without further ado, let me get started. So I'm going to first talk about the Demonology mini lesson. So the mini lesson for today is going to speak about a topic that was brought up this week, and Ghost Adventures brings it up a lot, which is mimicry. Now, what is mimicry? Mimicry is you hear something and you think it's a child or an old person crying. In other words, the demon is impersonating a living being. And the purpose of that, of course, is to lure you in. Well, we know that, right? Any horror video game, any horror show, you see people, they're crying, and then they're like, what's that? Let me go see what that sound is, and then they go to their doom, 9 times out of 10. So mimicry, the whole purpose is to lure you in, to draw you deeper, to have fun with you at the demon's delight. And so that's what mimicry is. Now, mimicry is dangerous because if you think it is a child and you're attempting to contact it, you are thinking, oh, it's little Rachel, she died when she was 5, right? And then you find out, or some other things happen, and other things would include evil manifestations, would include bad feelings, would include people getting sick, all of which would clue you into the fact that this is not a human child manifesting. This would actually be a demon. And so mimicry is dangerous because if you think it's going to be a child and you're attempting to negotiate with that spirit or entity, you could be unwittingly unlocking doors and opening your own self up to infestation and possession. And so another thing that came up this week is doppelgangers. So that also is courtesy of Ghost Adventures. Somebody was talking to me about it this week, and so I thought I'd mention it on the show. So doppelgangers are really interesting. So it's from the German, of course, and it's a twinning effect. And what does that mean? That means that you're going through the proverbial dark corridor, you're going up the stairs or down the stairs, and when you look, you see someone who looks exactly like you. Now that's dangerous in its own right because some people believe that if you see your doppelganger, you will die because, you know, sort of like the science fiction, if you have two beings occupying the same space at the same time, one of them has to cancel out the other. The negative positive effect. It's the old Star Trek, right? You can't have the two negatives together, two positives. And so they cancel each other out. So a doppelganger is actually dangerous because if the doppelganger gets close enough to you, it can actually infest you, possess you, or cause you such mental instability that they can slip in and slip through. And also, they can also twin you in your life. And so if this is part of your belief system, this is a dangerous phenomenon, actually. And even though people do kind of make fun of it, it's something to guard against and ward off. Now, what do you do if you happen to see your doppelganger? Well, whatever prayer system and belief system that you espouse, that now is the time to get on with it. So if you have prayers, Catholic, Buddhist, beads, whatever, holy rituals and objects, that's the time to really invoke their power and to cast the doppelganger out of this dimension that you're in, because you're the one that's in this dimension and they belong to another. All right, so that was your demonology mini lesson. Thank you so much. And so that moves us straight away into Santeria secrets. So this week I want to talk to you about connections. So I was watching a documentary about Cuba, and they were talking about how they have, and it's coming up pretty soon, the Feast of San Lazaro, and they refer to San Lazaro in the Santeria terms. Now in Cuba, it used to be banned to believe in Santeria, which is why a lot of people keep it on a very quiet pathway. And anyway, it's a spiritual thing, so it's not something that really you need to announce on the television. But the fact that in contemporary Cuba, they are talking about the Orisha, that God's people who believe in San Lazaro, and his feast day is the 17th of December, and he is the patron saint of people who don't have too much money. He is the patron saint of those who love dogs. He is often depicted as someone who has sores covering his body, and the fact that they actually still in this day and age, and not just in Cuba but in also in other parts of Latin America, they walk on their knees for miles to get to his shrine in the pilgrimage. That shows you the connection that they have with this person that is often depicted as someone at their same societal status. So in other words, if I'm poor and I have no money and I have no clothes, I want San Lazaro to notice me. So that's the connection that they are invoking through candles, rituals, food, music. That's the whole purpose of Santeria. You want to connect with your spirit. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the same way as people here in San Francisco want to connect with their giants. So we have Orange Fridays, and we have people wearing the black and orange, and so that's the same thing with Santeria. You know, you're having that kind of moment. All right, so that's your Santeria secret for this week, and I want to talk to you quickly about a new thing I'm going to introduce, which is called battle. So it's going to be two characters or two teams, and I'm going to give you my point of view as to why I choose one or the other. So on Friday, Sci-Fi Channel had, or no, I'm sorry, HBO had Westworld. So Westworld is a science fiction with a horror overlay. So I'm going to throw down the gauntlet and say Westworld has definitely a horror overlay, and that's why I'm going to put it into the horror genre. Team Maeve or Team Dolores? Team Maeve, this is your girl, the Black Cat X1. I'm on Team Maeve. Why? Maeve is strong. She's in a leadership position. She has a bad situation and she makes the best of it. And she's always thinking. Dolores, not so much. And I can't stand a woman that cries. I don't mind a good cry. I'm the first one to step in front of the camera and say, I will cry. But I can't go there with Dolores. And then waiting for Teddy to rescue her. Please. No, 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 no. I like Maeve. She's a very strong character. She's much more the way I would want to be, especially when the apocalypse happens. You can't cry. Who's going to save you from the apocalypse? Okay, so that was my quick take on Maeve versus Dolores, Westworld. So tell me what you think. I'd like to know. All right, and then to round out this show, we're going to do Survivor. And today's Survivor nomination is the movie Get Out. Now that movie has caused all sorts of controversy and consternation all over the internet, and people are always talking about it. I like it for a whole variety of reasons, but the main reason is that after a slow start, the main character finally rises up. He uses his mobile. He uses his intelligence. He starts putting the pieces together. He connects with outside world and networks and finds out things. And then when he realizes that's it, it's do or die, he gets down to business and he's in the business of surviving. So that's the kind of movie I like to see. It's intelligent, smart, fast moving. It doesn't lag as so far as I know, and it touched on social issues, which is a big strong selling point for me. All right, so that's that's it for this week. Don't forget to check out your girl, the Black Cat X1, at the Black Cat X1 on Twitter. And also, I post new horror stories or horror-related stories on www.theblackcat x1presents.blogspot.com, and I'll have it in the description box below. Thank you so much for joining me this week, episode 19, Night Fog. And until next time, I will see you soon. Ciao, ciao. Meow, meow.